captains pop up now? And then
We
I'll
can.
hand over to you, Sharon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jill. So, good morning. I'm Sharon Hubbard, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm the Director of Children's Services here at Rochdale, and I kind of say this everywhere I go. I've got the best job in Rochdale, and the practice fortnight and things where we get together are absolutely really, really exciting and important. And I think we're going to go through some of the things that we're going to be doing over the next 2 weeks, and I'm so pleased to see so many of you on, although it's a little bit daunting, I've got to say. So without further ado, I'm kind of going to go through some slides for you. I really want you to, if you've got questions or you've got comments, either put them in the chat, or sorry, it keeps binging and it's putting me off. It's all right. And so we'll go through the slides. If you've got any questions, there is time at the end. I know sometimes it's really hard to ask questions in front of all of the people. So if you want to just put them in the chat or put your hand up, that'll be great. So we'll make a start. I'm not planning on this to be a full hour because I think there's lots and lots for us to talk about, but also you know, your time is very precious, so I don't want to waffle on, which I do often, don't I? Right, Jill, next one, please. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to welcome you to 2025 Practice Fortnight. I can't believe it's a year since we were sat here doing this. Time goes so quickly, but again, it's an absolute labour of love for Brendan and the team, and I want to thank them so much. We're going to go through all of the things that we're doing over this next 2 weeks, and I think you'll agree that they've put on a wonderful array of practice principles for us that will help us and support us to move forward. So I want to say thank you so much, Brendan and the team. I know that this takes you a long time, but also the thought you put into it to make sure that we are connecting to all of the work that we're doing across the whole service is really important. And although we've got 21 events taking place this year, we have not just restricted ourselves to children's services staff. We absolutely have tried to make this multi-agency as well. It comes back from some of the feedback, and I think we need sometimes, don't we, that little bit of time to step back and actually celebrate what we've been doing together, because you work so incredibly hard. And often you are doing that and it kind of just feels like I'm getting on with my job. But what you do makes a massive difference. It doesn't just make a difference to our families, it makes a difference to us as officers, as practitioners, as volunteers, as people who are working alongside you. So it's really, really important that we take some time to celebrate in these 2 weeks. It is a time for us to give ourselves a little pat on the back. We're not perfect, nothing's perfect, but we work so hard. And when I say we, I kind of mean the royal we, you really. But I get the pleasure of kind of being the leader of that. I wanted to talk about that. I really hope that in the last 6 months that you'll have seen that we have taken as a leadership, a wider leadership team, 2 main priorities that I'm hoping that you absolutely can see this beginning to thread through everything that we're doing. And one of them is school attendance. We have always worked on the premise of school attendance is kind of schools, parents and EWOs issues. That's kind of where we've worked to. What we know, and I have to say, one of the pieces of work Katie DeGeorge is going to do for us and present on is around actually children not going to school is very rarely about school. It's more about other things. It's more about things that we together collectively can support and help that child to attend school. Some of you will have come to the attendance conference, which was brilliant. Kirsty from the virtual school led on that piece of work. And what that said to us was that school attendance matters. Each and every one of you are sat here today probably because somebody supported you to get an education. It might have been later in life. You may well not have had the best of experiences within your kind of typical school life, but actually as you've got older, you'll have had some champions that have supported you to be able to get an education that's enabled you to sit here today. So we cannot just think that school attendance is an education issue. It's not. It's our issue, and we have to look when we are talking to children. We need to look at their attendance data. Where are they? What are they doing when they're not in school? And how are we helping them and their family to be able to get back into an education provision that meets their needs? So I'm really, really hoping that you've begun to see that that's an expectation on you, regardless of what job you do, that attendance needs to be thought about when you are working with our families. The second one is special education needs and disabilities. Again, we had a brilliant SEND conference. We've had some fantastic outcomes from our internships. And I don't know whether you know George Rogers is one of our interns, but he now is member of staff and won a leadership award last week, I think it was. And we're ever so proud of George. But actually, we need all of our young people to be having opportunities that allows them to have a successful career and ability to be incredible human beings, just like we all are. So I'm hoping that you absolutely can see that those two areas are very much part of our priorities, and they're going to be for the next 12 months, and you will see that they are writ large into our practice fortnight. We really need to put a focus on young people, and I'm not going to talk about that right now because I'm going to talk about it a bit later when we talk about the intergeneration solidarity for enduring well-being, which is the whole title of World Social Work. So I'm going to talk about that a little later. I hope that you're beginning to see the family safeguarding model is being, and is it implemented and embedded? I think it's implemented. I think Abu over this next fortnight and others will talk about how motivational interviewing and looking at a family as a whole makes such a difference to our families. It's not just about kind of reducing children in care, reducing the numbers of children on plans. That's not what it is. That's a byproduct of working with our families in a motivational, strength-based way. And I know that lots of you will be sat there saying, I've always done that. It's always been something that I do. And I know that, but actually we need it to absolutely be integrated into every single bit of everything that we do, from the moment we answer that telephone or the moment we knock on a front door of somebody that we've never met before, right through to our care experience young people, that we are thinking about strength-based language, thinking about how we support our families to not need us. And that's the ultimate aim, isn't it? That actually people get through life just using universal services. Sometimes we need maybe a bit of targeted services, but on the whole, we want our families to be able to use our universal services in a way that ensures that they're able very much to be able to live successfully and safely. I think it's really important we don't lose the word safety. And also, it's always been a bit of a worry of people about risk. Yes, it's our job, or for some people, it's very much their job to manage risk. Of course it is. That doesn't go. That's not gone. But what we do need to think about is, are we managing risk in the right way? Are we helping families to remain together where actually that's the right thing to do? So for me, I'm hoping that lots of you will come to the whole service briefing tomorrow, because we're going to talk a lot more about that. Early years and neighbourhoods, you'll see again lots and lots of work. Lots of you will be parents maybe who've got children who are going to nursery, and that you will be looking at how you manage your hours, those hours that people are getting. Really, really important to absolutely celebrate the work that our early years and neighbourhoods teams have done to ensure that we've got places for those children and young people. People outside of Rochdale are amazed sometimes at our relationships with our private providers, with our childminders, because actually we are responsible for all children. It's not that they're in a different provision, so they're not our issue. Our early help and our early years workers, officers, just work so incredibly hard to make sure that all children are getting the very, very best. And we've been held up as a shining light, not only across Greater Manchester, but nationally. And I think Amanda Highland and the team are sick of going down to London to tell them how good we are, but we're not letting them stop, because we need to make sure that everybody can hear what we're doing. We also really need to look at our anti-discriminatory practice. It's really important. The culture of the world is changing, isn't it? It's quite a scary place, I would imagine, for people who are maybe part of minority groups. And it's our responsibility to make sure that those people feel safe in the workplace, they feel safe in their communities, and they feel safe in any of the organisations that they touch. And it is and will be a very worrying time. The world feels quite scary at the moment. If you're a young person, I imagine that that's a really difficult time. And we have a responsibility, don't we, to make sure that we are inclusive, that we are supportive, and that we protect people where anti-discriminatory practice maybe is prevalent. And for us, that's got to be a real area of work for us moving forward. And what you'll also get over the next 2 weeks is updates from service areas. It's really important that we all understand what we're doing. You'll all be doing incredible work within your own parts of the organisation. And often at that strategic level, we kind of know what's going on. But it's really important that you do, because you're the people who are supporting our families out there. You're the people who are working together. It's important that that knowledge and all of that information is shared across all of parts of our organisation. But I've talked about as well, it's important that our multi-agency partners understand it as well. So there are real key topics over the next 2 weeks, and you'll kind of see how that's going to come together. Next slide, please. So, as I've said, they're multi-agency. We've invited partner agencies, and we've got event lead facilitators, and we're going to hear from, over the next 2 weeks, Rochdale Borough Council Children's Services Managers, staffs and teams, and the partner agency representatives. So from the Safeguarding Partnership, the Proud Trust, and the Young Carers Hub. I'm really looking forward to hearing about some of this. So what have we got planned for you? We've got 5 online events, and whole services have been invited to make booking easier. We've got 16 face-to-face events, and we've really blended it this year because there was lots of feedback around, actually I really would have loved to have gone to that, but I was working, I had meetings, then I couldn't get to Riverside or I couldn't get to here. So we've really tried to make sure that where we can do it online and it'll be effective online, that we've done it that way. And we've really heard what you've said. So you need to come to them now, because we've changed lots of the ways we're doing. So we've got blended service areas. So where possible, groups of reps from the same service are updating and sharing good practice and celebrating their work with families of Rochdale. This is a real celebration over the next 2 weeks. It's really, really important that we see that as a celebration. It's not a chore. This is not kind of we're telling you what to do. That's not what this is about. This really is about showcasing all of the amazing stuff that's been going on, but showcasing it so that we can all enjoy listening to each other, but also thinking about how does that work with my families, what can I do to think about how I engage with those areas. And so far we've got 600 staff booked on, so that's quite some doing, and if you've got any mates who've not booked on, just tell them to kind of get on. So really simply, purple is online and black is face to face. So just going through week one, you've got me, sorry about that. But then we've got Sending Rochdale is Everybody's Business. And again, that's face to face. Tomorrow, we've got whole surface briefing at Middleton Arena. It's the same session in the morning as it is in the afternoon. It's been a long time since we've been in a position that we've been able to get ourselves where we can do whole service briefing in a place, in a time that really works. It won't be this year, so we will be doing it now. We are going to do it again later in the year. It's really important, isn't it, that we get together. It's also really nice to be able to get together and see each other and talk and think about where are we going next, what is our next steps in Rochdale. Then on face to face, we've got anti-racism, changing the conversation using motivational interviewing skills. We've got domestic abuse, celebrating good practice. And then face to face, we've got showcasing our fostering service and the Greater Manchester Fostering Hub. And again, it gives me great pride that we are hosting the Greater Manchester Fostering Hub. There's 10 local authorities in Greater Manchester. I know you know that. But often it's the same local authorities that are always asked to do certain things. They're always held up as local authorities that get things done, and oh, we've asked them to do it. So it was incredibly heartening for us to be approached actually by Greater Manchester Combined Authorities to say, would you be prepared to host the hub? And of course we said yes, and we are doing so well on that, and I'm not going to steal anybody's thunder at all. But I've got to say, Tracy Johnson and the team and Jamie have just worked so hard to make this right, and support the other 9 local authorities not to feel like we're great big bossy boots and we're sorting it all out. And I think it's real testament to them that everybody has been talking about how helpful the GM Hub has been. So lots to celebrate, not just internally. I think it's really important to say, you know, our reputation as Rochdale is really increasing right across, and nationally. As I said before, Amanda and the team are asked to go and stand on national stages. Katie Georgie and Katie Charlton went off to talk about our emotionally based non-attendance and the work that we're doing. I think it's really important. You have to play out sometimes to believe that we can make the changes, and we can, and we do things really well, but we're a little shy sometimes. And I think this next 12 months we need to be showing that we're doing some amazing work across this borough. We're going to have a journey through early help, early years and neighbourhoods. Tomorrow we are going to talk about, and we've got sessions as well, on neighbourhood working. It's the corporate direction, it's the right direction, and it's the multi-agency direction. And actually, we think about being residents ourselves. We want our services in our communities and in our neighbourhoods that are accessible and understand where we live. So we're doing so much work on that in the next 12 months. Some of you will know that because you're already in neighbourhoods. Some of you will know that because you're social workers and you're moving into our neighbourhoods, our localities, our family hubs. It's really exciting. We will sometimes not get it right, but actually it's really, really important that you let us know. You need to talk to us about this doesn't feel quite right, or we could do this even better. So I'm really excited about our neighbourhood working. And then we're going to talk about our Edge of Care service. Again, an incredible piece of work. I just need to be clear, I'm going to say this, but this is not the purpose of our Edge of Care work. But through the work that our Edge of Care team, Our Place and others have been doing, we've cost avoided over £3 million of young people not coming into the care system because we've been able to work with them and their families at home. And it's not about the cost saving. That's not the bottom line. But it does mean that those young people got the right services at the right time and remained safe. And for me, that has got to be a real achievement. So really looking forward to that this week. Week 2, again, purple online, black face to face. The Children's Rochdale Safeguarding Partnership Conference is going to take place, and we're launching the multi-agency, what's it, safeguarding, I can't remember, Massa. Somebody put it in the chat for me. We're doing that. And again, that's in line with legislation, but I have to say, the buy-in from the partners at the Safeguarding Partnership is so important, but also we don't even need to ask for it in Rochdale. It's a given. Usually in local authorities, the DCS is the one who chairs the executive, kind of does all of that. I have to say here, our health colleagues straight away just said, actually, I'll chair that. That feels like the right thing to do. It means the focus isn't always on children's social care or children's services. Oh, arrangements. Couldn't think, thanks, Lee. Arrangements. And I think that's a real testament to us that people feel secure enough to be able to step forward and say, I'll take that on because I know I'll have the support. I know that people are going to be there to make sure that we get this right. So again, really important piece of work. Working creatively with young people is always a magical session. Our young people are incredible, aren't they? And so looking at how we engage young people, and I think we go back to that language, that motivational language. We won't talk about hard to engage young people. Actually, it's our responsibility to engage them. It's not their responsibility to engage with us. So that working creatively with young people, thinking about how we get out there and provide the things that young people need and want is really, really important. Private fostering, I hope that you saw, I think it was 2 weeks ago, massive campaign. Our figures are very low on private fostering. I think probably we haven't done lots of work on this over the last couple of years, but actually we really need to think about it. We've got children who are living with other people and we just need to make sure that that's safe. Celebrating motivational practitioners, and again, you will hear some amazing, simple changes that make such a difference to families. It also changes our culture and it changes the way that we speak to each other. It changes the way that we deal with all kinds of issues. And motivational work is not just about when we're with our family. How do we put that right across the whole of our organisation? So again, really important work. Rochdale Young Carers Hub, again, such an important piece of work. We've got lots of young carers. Do we really think about them as young carers? Do we make those necessary adjustments so that they can be successful, so they can attend school, so they can get themselves into the place that they need to be? The voice of our cared for children and young people, again, is online. Please book on it. Youth voice and the use of the Lundy model. Diane and the team have been working really hard. In Greater Manchester, the Lundy model is the preferred model. It is a really good way of being able to support our young people. So come along to that. Working together to improve attendance. We've already talked about that. It's a real priority for us. Children are safe in school. Children are learning in school. Children have the ability to succeed. And when we talk about school, I'm not just talking about the establishment of a traditional school. There are lots of ways that we educate our children, and the traditional educational establishment of a school may not be right for them, but actually we need to work that out and we need to think about how we do that for our young people. Supporting LGBT plus trans, including non-binary young people. Already talked about anti-discriminatory practice, how it might be quite scary to be a young person at the moment, especially if you don't feel you fit the norms. So it's really important that we think about what are we doing, how are we doing it, and how are we making sure that those children feel safe, secure, proud of who they are. A snapshot of our cared for children's services. That's a snapshot will be this big because we do so much and the team works so hard. And again, really important that we all understand that. How we respond to critical incidents affecting young people in the borough. Again, this is part of statutory work, but it's important that we know the lessons. We don't have lots and lots of critical incidents, but where we do, they are serious and they have life-changing events for some children and for families. We need to learn from them. And then we have World Social Work Day. So join us in celebration. I've been looking at all the nominations. Leanne Allen had me this morning at 20 to 8, going through, kind of making sure that we're really clear about the nominations. There were so many nominations this year. Thank you. It's been absolutely brilliant. And not everybody can win. I feel like one of those show hosts. Not everybody can win, but we will be saying who was nominated. I think it's really important, the fact that people have taken time out to nominate you. 290 nominations. Amazing. And it is amazing. And actually it's not amazing, is it? Because you're all doing incredible work that should be recognised. And I'm really glad that this is the second year that we're getting together and that we're actually celebrating with each other, because it's not just World Social Work Day. Every single one of us supports our families, and some of us have a qualification of this, but all of us have a qualification of care. And it's really important to me that we absolutely and utterly make sure that we value you. And we can do that in several ways. And I think we're getting better at it over the last few years. I hope you feel that. But we also have a well-being commitment. That was very nicely timed, wasn't it? It's important for you to take care of you. It's that old adage, isn't it? You can't support when you're burnt out yourself or where you've got no respite yourself. So we've got lots of staff wellbeing initiatives. I want you to look at them. I want you to think about, can I find space to be able to do this? And if your answer is, oh, absolutely not, I don't have space, then maybe you need to speak to your manager about, I should be able to do this. I should be able to find space for this, because you being healthy and well and enjoying what you're doing means that you will provide amazing services for our families. So it's not an add-on well-being, it's important. So I want you to think about your well-being. I want you to think about where can you get well-being from. And some of you will have your own. You know, some of you will go to yoga. Look at this. This is me being aspirational now. Going to yoga on your way home. I wish. Going swimming, having friends, going to a book club. All of those things are really important. But if there's anything in our well-being that we can support you with, then actually I'd like you to think about it. And we've got a commitment to that. So really have a look at what we're doing. Next, please. Which brings us to World Social Work Day celebrations, which is, so I think it's on, where would we find the link, Jill, for the well-being?
For the well-being, we'll add it to the chat, but
Brilliant.
it's on the advert for Practice Fortnight as well. Right at the bottom there, there's the link to the corporate well-being page, and there's lots of stuff going on for staff.
There is. Thank you. Okay, so World Social Work Day. I've already said we know what the title is, but we felt that actually we needed to celebrate all of us. It's really, really important. Every single one of us does something every day that makes a difference to a family. And so, yeah, it is World Social Work Day, but for us, it's Children's Services Day. And we've got the town hall, we've talked about the nominations, but there is a serious side to World Social Work Day as well. It's not just about kind of saying, well done, you're a social worker. It is about thinking about the roles that we play and how we move forward as organisations. And this year's strengthening generational solidarity for enduring well-being, that's an easy sentence, isn't it? It's not an easy sentence, but it's very important. What it does say, what it does mean, is that it's very much about learning from each other, and that's why Practice Fortnight is so very important. It talks about how we need to use our older adults to think about what is it that we're doing and how are we doing it, and actually are we thinking about our family as a whole, and actually not just looking at whoever the case record is about or the referral. It's very much about thinking about everything as a whole. It's also about hearing. It's about hearing from everyone. One of the things that was really brought it home to me, it was a couple of months ago, and I was somewhere, and what somebody said to me was, it's really important, isn't it, that we use the voice of the people that we're providing our services to, because we're not teenagers in Rochdale, are we? None of us sat here living the world of a teenager. We might be around them a lot, we might have them, and we might not be that far out of being a teenager, but we're not teenagers living in Rochdale, experiencing life at the moment. And so we really need to think about, and we do some incredible work around the voice of children, but we do need to do more. What you'll hear from over the next kind of year really is part of the prevention work that we're doing is in neighbourhoods. We need to have those young people telling us how to support them to be able to be successful adults, whatever that success looks like. And your success and my success might be two very different things, but it's important that we really establish those voices of children and young people. And we've got some amazing groups going on at the minute, but we need it to get wider. We also need to think about, and I think it's really hard sometimes to get the voice of parents and grandparents, but they come with a very different view of how we can support them. And we need to really hear that. We need to really think about, what do our services need to look like? What do our services need to think about? And our family hubs are an amazing resource, but they were supported by families saying what they needed. And everybody heard. Our family hubs are the most welcoming places, aren't they? As are lots of other places. Our youth clubs are the same. You walk in, you feel welcome. And actually, really, really need to think about how we expand that to everything that we're doing. How do families feel welcome coming in to our organisations? There are difficult conversations we have to have sometimes, but we can do that because we can hear what is the best way to do it. We are going to spend the next year really, really looking at how we do that and how we just go back, sorry, how we support our communities in their neighbourhoods. It's a real commitment from me, from the senior leadership, but also corporately. And tomorrow, if you come to the whole service briefing, you'll see how we're going to do that. We can't do that on our own. And actually, when we look at intergenerational, we do need to work very closely with our adults, our adult services, but also all of our services, our bin men, our corporate, everybody in a neighbourhood. We need to be working together, and that is an absolute commitment for us over the next 12 months. Greater Manchester has got a real strand of work led by Andy Burnham, and it's the Live Well strand of work. Again, something that we absolutely are committed to To live well, you have to have neighbourhoods that care about you. You have to have communities that want you to be successful. So we're going to work alongside Greater Manchester. We're going to look at one area of where we bring together all of our services. So health, education, children's social care, family hubs, adult services. How do we create those environments that enable families to flourish and communities to flourish? Because that's the other thing, isn't it? It's up to communities sometimes, and they do so much work. So Cheryl Boardman at Early Help, been doing a piece of work with innovation around doorstep to community. It's incredible how many things go on in our communities that we don't always know about, and we don't need to interfere with it. But what we do need to do is to be able to support our families to access those incredible people who, through their own nous, if you like, kind of get on and do and help their communities, those community champions that we don't give them any funding, we don't give them any help, but actually they make such a difference, and we need to think about how we harness some of that without interfering with it. So lots going to go on over the next 12 months, but this intergenerational working together absolutely has to be a real part of the way that we work forward. Next slide, please. So what do we need you to do? Well, we really want you to go to at least 2 sessions and maybe one of the key theme events. I suppose what we talked about is sometimes we feel comfortable going to the things we know. So actually have a look and go to something that maybe you're not that au fait with, something that you're not working with every day. And then that way you can really begin to see the breadth of everything that's going on. For those of you who are qualified social workers and are registered with Social Work England, anything that you attend can go through your CPD. And if you get it done now, you won't be rushing on the, 31st of November or what have you, where everybody's up till midnight pressing that button before you're no longer allowed to be a social worker anymore. Take the opportunity to give yourself some space, but also allow yourself that opportunity to be able to put it into your CPD, really importantly. And the other thing is, we learn so much from each other. We absolutely sometimes just make the most amazing connections by attending some of these events, which then really help our families, or it helps you to think about how you need to work alongside our families, thinking about the stuff that you've learned. So all sessions can be booked via your track account. If you need any support booking, please email Learning at Rochdale. They're very nice, and they absolutely will help you to get onto the session that you want to get onto. Last but not least, we do an annual survey. It's really important that we hear from you. It gets better and better each year. More and more people do it. Sometimes it's kind of hard to hear some of the things that you say, but actually it is important. We need to know what it feels like to work in this organisation and how we can make things as good as we can. There's some things I can't change, but there are lots of things that only need a tweak or only need somebody to have a really good look at it. So we really ask that you take the time. It doesn't take long to just do the staff survey. It makes such a difference to the people who come after you, for you now and for us as strategists to be able to think about, right, okay, where do we really need to put some energy and effort, and what do we need to change? Because we know that we don't always get it right. Loads of things that we do well, but also we know that things change, people change, our world changes. So how do we make sure that we're kind of keeping up with what you need and how you need it? So a little bit of a beg, you will get email reminders, but if you get it done, you know, it's done then, isn't it? And it starts Practice Fortnight off with a real bang. I think that's the last slide, isn't it? There's the Q code. everybody does a Q code, don't they? So it's Q code. If you the slides are, how are the slides available, Jill? Because you can access these slides, can't you?
Yeah, we'll send them out to everybody afterwards, and they'll
Brilliant.
also be online.
I was going to say they're online as well, aren't they? Yeah. So if you do the Q code, that'll be really nice. Well, it'd be really helpful, actually. And also your feedback on Practice Fortnight. What would have been good to have in? What was great? And kind of your thoughts, really. Is it worth doing Practice Fortnight? We think it is. I love the fact that you kind of dip in to other parts of the world and learn so much. But is this the right format? Is it the way? Last year, people were saying we need more online. We've listened to that this year, but we've still got face to face. So hopefully that's a lovely balance for people. But again, really make sure that you let us know what works for you, because that's what this is about. And please visit the Practice Fortnight page to book on to more events. 600 of you have already done that. And then we've got that time. Now I'm going to pause. It says so on that slide. It says pause for questions. Has anybody got